In this session I'm going to take a look at some additional desk options that you might find useful. We touched on a few in previous sessions and I'm just going to try and cover a few further ones. To find the desk settings, just below the screen, get the setup button, you press that and that takes you into the pages. First one is audio, and the first page in that is the PAFL. This controls what you hear if you're using headphones and how that works. There are quite a lot of options in here. There's only just a couple that I'm going to touch on. I'll explain briefly what they are and then show how those work. First is additive. This controls whether when you select a PAFL it deselects the previous one or not, or adds them together. Cells to follow PAFL controls whether the selected channel, i.e. the one that you're looking at on the processing channel for instance, follows when you do PAFL or whether it stays as it was. And the third one I'm looking at is the LR to PAFL, which controls whether you hear the front of house by default. So if I unmute the band, then at the moment, because LR to PAFL is on, you hear the front of house mix. If I PAFL a channel, then you will hear that. If I then select a different channel, it switches to that channel and deselects the previous one. This is because the additive option is turned off. So this is the default setup for the desk. You can then switch between channels and go back to front of house. If I turn the additive option on, I PAFL one channel, I then do a second one, you now get those two together. And you can do a third one. If you want to remove a channel, then you press it again and that takes it off. If I then change the select to follow, currently I've got box 3 selected, I can PAFL it. If I then change to guitar, the select has stayed where it was, but I can listen to a different channel. This is useful if you want to be able to keep one processing screen selected on to a display, but listen to others at the same time. And then finally, LR to PAFL, if I then remove everything, you hear nothing at all. All the time I'm doing this, of course, the main meter is showing what I'm listening to, and if I've got something selected in the PAFL, then that indicator light there will be lit. So I have something selected, then that lights up red, so you can tell that you've got something selected. The next page on here is Talkback Mic. This is a channel specifically dedicated to a microphone that you can plug in locally on the back of the desk. There is a specific socket for it, and that has a very limited set of processing so that it doesn't take up a normal channel that you would use for a band or a microphone, and its settings are just controlled here. You can do some of the same things you would do on a channel, or you can control where you plug it in. You've got the options for 48 volt if it's that type of mic. You've got gain and trim and a high pass filter. The right hand side here controls where the Talkback mic is routed to. By default here it's going to the auxiliaries, which are our fallback channels, so that's probably what you want. At the moment, the way it's set, if I press the talk button and leave it pressed, then that stays on. Press it again to turn it off. I can also press and hold and then let go, and it's on for the time I was pressing it, and then off again. The momentary and latch option, if you change that to off, it's only on while you're holding it. There is no latching operation. You have to press, hold, and then let go. That's the only difference there. We look at the surface settings next. We've done strip assign in one of the previous sessions and talked through how that works. Soft controls is the next area that is interesting. These are the keys that are on the top left, down the right, and just below the screen to the right. We are able to assign those to do quite a lot of different things if we want to. Some of them we've preset, so we've got a few set up already on the top left. We've got some scene recalls, we've got the SQ drive recording, so you can see what those are. If you select them on here, you can see where it says recall scene. You've got the SQ drive, settings, but there are other keys which we can assign to do other functions if we want to. So a common one that people use is to assign a key to the global tap tempo. This is useful if you want to use the delay effects, because you can then control the delay period by tapping on the key. So let's do that so you see how that works. So you tap on the undersign, go down, so you can see all the options that there are. Global tap tempo is the one I want to use. So when I press apply on that, soft 7 now is assigned to the global tap tempo, and because of the way that works, it flashes in time to that tempo, so I can see it's active. If I want to change the tap tempo now, I can tap on the key in time to the music, and that will adjust the delay time. So I can unassign that again, go back to here, change that to unassign, apply. One of the other things that you might want to do with the key is there's a feature called DCA spill. This allows us to temporarily see the faders that relate to a DCA. So for instance, let's assign the same key to DCA spill. You pick that you want to do that. You can then either pick a specific DCA, say we've got some preset vocals and band, or you can pick one that you've selected. So if we pick the band, say, apply that. So when I then press soft 7, it's now changed the faders to reflect the DCA selection. So because I've got band selected, I can see the band channels on the faders. That's flashing to show that you're on that. You press it again and it goes back to the standard setting. Remove that again. There are lots of things you can assign soft keys to. There's also soft rotaries. We've preset those to some of the less commonly used channels that we don't generally have for faders, but again, those can be changed if we want to do that. The last section on here that is interesting to look at is the surface preference, and on here you can control the brightness. So if you find that the brightness of the screen, for instance, is not right, or the channel strip LEDs is not right, you can then adjust that on here. Hopefully that gives you an idea of some of the other settings you can control and how to find them.